Welcome to the GFY Podcast, a podcast by healthcare professionals providing insight on how to navigate your health so that you can go fix yourself. The GFY Podcast hosted by Mike Bruno, chiropractor and athletic trainer, and me, Michael Stanton, an athletic trainer and a certified strength conditioning specialist. Although we are healthcare providers, we are not your healthcare provider. We will discuss general health interventions in this podcast, but you should not take that as health advice that works in every situation. Before doing anything on your own or making any lifestyle changes, please consult with your own physician. This podcast and views from this podcast are separate from our full-time jobs and our own opinions. If you're enjoying the GFY podcast, please leave us a review on your listening platform and or subscribe to our podcast at YouTube. Links to our show can be found in the show notes on any platform that you are listening to. So today...
You had your coffee this morning. You read that.
Yeah, so to be honest, what I did, I think I took it from you. I made a decaf coffee and then put a double shot of espresso in it. I didn't have first.
That sounds counterintuitive.
Well, I didn't want,
I took a shower, but then went and rolled around in the mud.
But it was like a deep.
Hi, Courtney. I see you.
You can't hear you.
Oh, that's hysterical.
But yeah, so I don't know. I was just trying to have a little less caffeine, but then I went and picked up more coffee. So it was all counterintuitive.
No, I'm no scientist, but that just sounds like you're, what did Gardner Minshew? It's Gardner Minshew, right? He hit himself on the hand with a.
You're obsessed with that story. You mentioned this story last time.
Did I?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's
do whatever it takes.
No, you know what you are? You're that guy who goes to McDonald's and orders 10,000 calories worth of food, but then gets a diet soda. That's exactly what that is. It's because health.
Yeah, it's I'm going to get a burger, but I'll take the bun off.
Yeah, I'm gluten free. I can only a McDonald's cheeseburger without a bun.
Yeah. It's probably on.
I'm not judging you, but I'm judging you.
Anyway,
what are we talking about?
We are going to talk about being out of your element or out of your scope. When I'm saying element, because I always think about the Big Lebowski, out of your element, Donnie. You ever watch Big Lebowski?
I mean, I'm a movie guy. I know that's a cult movie, but I can't quote it.
Yeah. That's anyway, but it's you're out of your element. I forget what they were even talking about. Something about Vietnam. It's the characters would just have a rampage, would just start kind of talking about whatever story. Yeah. But yeah, out of your scope. And the example I bring up, especially if you're for young grads or people who just start out and knowing when it's you know what, this isn't something I should probably be handling and I need to refer this out. So obviously, as an athletic trainer, there's a lot of things that we see acutely that it's and you refer, right? Mm-hmm. Broken clavicle, and you refer, right? That stuff's very easy. But I actually, my first year practicing had an ACL, and she wanted to do conservative treatment for it. Mm-hmm. And which isn't, there's actually a lot of research saying that it just takes the same amount. Now that I know this, it just takes the same amount of time to do a conservative rehab as it does a full-blown rehab or do surgery and go through the whole thing. The issue was that she wanted to return that season. It happened in February and try to see if she could get back in May. So, I went through the rehab process. She actually got very far. She was able to do everything. So, we got her range of motion, swelling down, strength, sprints. She was able to do agility and do her own cutting. But as soon as it became reactive with a little contact, her knee shifted on her. So it was pivot shift, went down. And that was pretty much the end of it. But probably I did that all myself. That was a rehab I did all my own as a first year person.
She ended up getting surgery?
She did end up getting surgery. Yeah. And it still ended up just being an ACL. They did a meniscectomy as well, but I'm trying to remember to be perfectly honest, there was probably a meniscus injury that was added with that pivot shift mechanism. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think the original, not that the MRI is always correct, but I don't think the original MRI had a meniscus tear on it. But, that's probably something that either, she kind of it was kind of like doc shopping to be who will let me come back? Who will let me try this? And even for me, it was maybe should have set some more realistic expectations. Now, if someone were to come to me, hey, I have an ACL and I don't want to get surgery, it becomes talking about well, what are your goals? If you want to do something pivoting, cutting, and you want to do it sometime soon, like you might want to go surgery. If you're like, hey, I just want to go back to that at a leisurely pace, maybe we wait a little bit longer. But that's stuff that came with 10 years of experience for me. So trying not to take on too much before you get there.
100%. I had this actually happened to my dad. He blew out his knee and went to talk to a doctor, and the doctor was deciding if he was going to do surgery or not, and asked him, Are you competitive in any type of sport? Are you running a marathon?" He was like, "No." Uh, Described his lifestyle, and they said, "You can get away with the coping's the word." So it's like
So yeah.
you can get away with not having surgery. And he went to a personal trainer who essentially did all his rehab in that regard. And he hasn't had any issues since because he's not sedentary, but he's not like
He's not gonna run. He's not
in like college soccer,
yeah.
So if he went and like push those limits, like maybe he would run into some more symptoms and issues. But the word he loves to throw around is functional scarring. And I'm like, besides you, I've never heard that term. So that was probably some
For what? MCL, or was it the MCL? Like
uh PCL, MCL, something else.
yeah, I mean like yes. Like will your body eventually throw something down in its place? Sure. But like whatever. Anyway, that's like
The whole concept is like, can your so for from a muscles and ligament standpoint, like the ligaments are the hard stop. Those are your last resort. So
yeah.
can you get strong enough, or can you get into a place where your body is able to the muscles are able to take over in a way that protects you enough for the demands of what you're typically doing?
Mhm.
That's the balance. If you need to rely on the ligaments providing that hard stop, you're probably at an increased risk of injury anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think Bo Jackson, when he
Dislocated his hip.
dislocated his own hip,
Yeah.
he is so strong, his, like, foot was planted, and he tried to pivot out of the
Yeah, like he was getting tackled. Yeah.
pulled his own hip out of its socket, essentially,
Yeah.
which is insane that he's that strong to be able to do, because that is like, hips get dislocated like that because of car accidents, not
Yeah.
on the field injuries. So, um, I digress. The important part of that is dep it depends on your demands. So I always tell people, "You put the target on the wall, and I will give you my best opinion on how we can get there." So, in that example with that soccer player, like, having all this experience now, if she puts a target on the wall, and it's like, "Okay, we can do conservative care, and we can do that, but these are the associated risks." If you go with surgery, you're going to potentially be in a better place to return faster.
Mhm.
That has to be your call, right? I can tell you, like, this is how we're gonna handle this, this is how we're gonna handle this. I had a conversation the other day when with a kid who's got, like, a really, like, hot, like, disc bulge. She has symptoms down the leg and all this
Mhm.
stuff, and he's like, "Not for nothing, I'm having a kid in, like, 4 months. I can't even, like, bend over to tie my shoes, like, I have to go back to work and all this. I really don't wanna have surgery, but I, like, don't know what to do." And we went through, like, a trial treatment and didn't get any response.
Yeah.
"Hey, dude, surgery exists for a reason. You're a good candidate for a surgery. Like, I
Yeah.
really wanna do it, but given that you have a compressed timeline and you have to, like, get back to work and being a dad very soon, the rehab on that ideally, you have surgery, like, you come out of that feeling a lot better, like, that minor rehab is going to be able to get you back to where you wanna be faster." Now, if you wanna take the conservative approach, the timeline just goes and
There you go.
extends. If you different situation and you were just really avoiding of surgery, then we can have that conversation, but based on what you're telling me, surgery is the best option. And a lot of people will be it sounds contraindicated to, like, everything that we always talk about, but it exists for a reason. Like, it's important
Yeah.
to know when to use those type of things.
Yeah, yeah. Surgery still exists for a reason. It's just I think it's always like what we talk about, and this is why kind of going back to like knowing when you're out of your element. If you're out of your element, you got to try to figure out like what are all the options on the table? Can you lay that out for whoever you're talking to, and making sure that you can kind of put them in the right direction? It's like what you just sparked another thing in me. I had a baseball athlete. He had surgery in high school, so I didn't deal with this. But he was telling me that, we're from Delaware. He was from middle of nowhere, Delaware, and he went to whoever like the general ortho was, and he was like, it was for a patella tendon repair. He ruptured patellar tendon, and he was like, "Hey, I'll be perfectly honest. I've done 5 of these. I'm gonna send you elsewhere. Like, I'm not the guy to be doing this for you." And that, like, if you go to a doctor and like they're especially a surgeon and they're willing to send you elsewhere, like awesome. Because like right in Delaware, you're gonna feel, and even then, like when I was at University of Delaware, anytime I had a UCL, so if Tommy, like kid had to get Tommy John, if they ever saw one of our local surgeons first, none of them. There was one guy who would maybe do it, and he would just do it he didn't really care as much. But the other guy who was also kind of elbow, he was still a little bit new, and he would straight up be like, "Hey, you're gonna go to Philly, you're gonna go to the Philly stock. Like, let's I haven't done these and I haven't got enough practice and reps at this yet to me to say that I can do this." So like making sure you have those questions and talk to people like out of your element, and like let's say you're going to a doctor too, you can be like, "How many of these have you done?" How often have you seen this? Like, hopefully they're honest with you. But that's like one way, like, hopefully if you're as, you're for us, like when we were our younger years, I think the issue is you try to do everything because you're like, well, I did the school, I did the experience, I should be able to do it. But honestly, people probably respect you more when you just say, "Hey, this isn't me."
Oh, I'm a huge stay in my lane guy. I say that all the time.
Mm,
So when people are asking me nutrition questions and things like that, that even like a shade of gray off, I'm like, listen, this is what I know. It's not my expertise. If you want more in depth, you should talk to X, Y, and Z. And that's why you have a referral source. Um, but I am not a good fit for everybody. I tell people no. And it could be from a goals perspective, it could be from like what their actual problem is. There's a lot of different reasons why something could not work, and you have to be very aware of that because if you do bring them in and then they don't get the results that they're looking for, that's on you, right?
yeah.
And if you knew that at the jump and you're like, I'll give it a shot, that's a really tough place to work from because then you're always like, working from behind. And I had a I had a guy who on the phone told me he had a spinal cord injury when he was a kid, and he
Mm,
said, "Oh, I've been able to manage. I drive, I work, like I'm in a physically demanding job." So like if you didn't know, you wouldn't if you didn't know if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at me. And I was like, "Okay, like cool, I'll take your word for it. Let's like come in for a session." He was like,
He's more of a neuro patient, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Like,
he
yeah.
was I don't wanna say paralyzed, like, he was very functional given the situation, but it was not
Like what your
what I but
your
yeah.
traditional interventions would have done nothing for him because that
Right,
those
and I told
that
him,
wasn't
I
the
was like
issue.
yeah, I was like, "Dude, this is not my world." And he was talking about shoulder discomfort and stuff, and he thought that all tied into everything else going on, and I said, "Okay, but we can so, like, listen, we can work on the shoulder discomfort and stuff, that's in my wheelhouse, but it's not going to get you the results that you want. If you wanna just work on your shoulder for the hell of it and for, like, symptom relief, sure, but it is not going to solve the problem that you have, like, you have to be very aware of that." And then we ended up not working together. So it's all about giving people giving people the option to make their own choice and, like, advocate for their own health. Because a lot of the times it's really hard to make a decision. It's really hard to make a decision with incomplete information.
I mean, also you're a lot of times you're kind of you get stuck in this because you feel like they're asking for like your advice, opinion, and you feel like you have to say this is what you're gonna do. But
Yeah.
it is very important that it needs to be their decision, and you have to frame it in a way that is okay. Because right, they want to be certain about the decision they're making. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you don't want them like in that scenario for you. You don't want to start in you know 6 weeks into a plan of care, and it's like, all right, well, nothing's changed and
Mm.
what's going on? Like, is this going to work? Did I just piss a bunch of money down the drain? Like, that's something that's true that you have to think about.
Right. There's a lot of when when you when you have a lot of question marks, there's probably double the amount of question marks in their head as a
Oh
client.
yeah, yeah.
So if clients ask you like, "Hey, can can you help me? Like, can I get better?" And also, I also have the conversation a lot of times is timeline. It's like, when can I expect to be better? It's like, okay, first we really have to get specific on defining better,
Mhm.
because does better mean playing your sport or does better mean less pain?
Yeah, because I
Or
think it.
something in between.
Because I would venture to guess, especially if people you deal with, like they get a little bit more like when you start digging in, they are actually a little more realistic about their expectations, especially if they've been dealing with pain for a long time. Like,
Mhm.
right, most of the time they're probably just like, I just want to feel. See, I was about to use the term better, but it's like I want to be able to walk for a mile and not have pain.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I always say, especially with like clients who've seen a lot of people before, the point of the game is to keep playing the game. It's not to win. It's not, there's no finish line in that sense. Because if you're going through the process looking for, hey, as soon as I'm out of pain, then you're probably going to stop making progress or like putting effort into your solution if you get to that point,
mm,
right? It's so people who work with me understand that, hey, getting out of pain is part of the process and part of the experience, but I'm chasing, like, I wanna play golf when I'm 90, and, like, right now I'm 60. So, like,
mm,
that's not gonna be a 6-week problem. That's gonna be a 30-year solution, right? And it doesn't mean you're gonna be working with me for 30 years. It means in the 3 to 6 months that we're working together, you are taking all of this information in, distilling it down in a way that works for you, and applying it to your life so that you become your own provider in a way, and you're able to navigate your health as you move forward in life with the principles and the frameworks that you learn here. So, yes, we'll get out of pain and we'll be able to learn some cool stuff and do all these things. But the important thing is that you can then take that and get creative with it 10 years down the road.
yeah,
And because the way you play golf in your 60s is not the same way you play golf in your 70s, 80s, definitely not 90s. So that it all changes, you're constantly changing. So everything has to grow and adapt with you. If I tell you 3 sets of 10 dead bugs today, next year, that might not be applicable. Like, it might be too easy or it might be too hard. I don't know. You have to always be growing and evolving. The name of the game is to keep playing.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I think it's edge. It right. I think as long as we have that conversation, like I think that's the problem that a lot of healthcare providers, honestly, even still as they get experience, like you don't have a conversation with what their goals are, what are they trying to achieve, making sure that whatever you're not uncertain about where they're going. And honestly, there's cases where it's like, and when you are uncertain, it's like, hey, I honestly don't know about this. I can either research more for you because it kind of falls in my wheelhouse and it's just something I don't deal with on a regular basis, or it's, hey, I know this person who could probably help you better.
Yeah, 100%. I have a buddy down the street that I refer to all the time,
Yeah.
especially because if people like, even if I think that I can help somebody, but for whatever reason, like financially or time commitment, whatever, they feel like they can't commit to a full program or plan. Um, I always say, like, dude, something's better than nothing. Like, what are you doing right now? If they say nothing, it's like you have to fix this. It doesn't have to be with me, but you have to go get this
Yeah.
solved. Yeah.
And that's how you build some good relationships and trust.
100%. That's what it all is.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Um, so as far as mindset goes, Mikey, what would you say your in this context, what is your mantra? Like, what is the thing that you would say if you had to distill it down into a sentence when you talk to new clients or other providers, right? Like, what is the thing that boils this whole topic down?
I think I always go back to if I'm talking to clients, you stumped me because I like referring to myself, and I like always talking about as like not not to be out of your element. Like I like that idea because it's like if you are out of your element, like right, what we think about, it's like if you dropped me off in a swimming pool meet, I am out of my element. I don't know what's going on or anything like that, right? You get hesitant, you don't know how to talk to people, you freeze up, and that's all just not good. Like none of that works out very well.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like the whole topic, it's going to be more so talking with other healthcare providers of just like know your limits, know when to refer. Like it's
That's something that healthcare providers definitely need to learn.
it's
Is
like I have a master's in nutrition. And
forgot
I
about
and I don't said I stay in my lane with it because I'm like, to be honest, I don't do it regularly enough to that. Like, there's a bunch, and same thing with you, a bunch of my own nutrition practices, a lot of general stuff that, like, yeah, I'll talk to people about, and like, you know, hey, if you're eating Fruit Loops 2 times a day, that probably is not the best. Like that's general information.
that.
But
Mhm.
like if someone goes, "Hey, I am a type 2 diabetic. How does this blah blah?" I'm gonna get it. I'm probably not your guy. Like, right? I'm gonna have. I'll refer to a registered dietitian at that point.
Yeah. Like, and I'm a firm believer on competition only exists if you want it to.
Mhm.
So when people are talking about,
High tide raises all boats.
yeah, like I see it all the time in like marketing where, oh, I can help anybody from grandma to the youth athlete. You probably can, but is it
Yeah.
better to be wide and narrow or wide and shallow or narrow and deep? Would you rather help some fewer people solve much get fewer people get much better results or help a bunch of people like a little bit?
Yeah, it honestly does become like, what do you preface? Like, it's either you're helping a bunch of people or you're helping a small select few. But what happened? And so as a like if you're helping a wide variety of people, you kind of forces you to apply the same intervention over and over again, right?
Oh,
That's part of the issue, whether it works or it doesn't. It maybe work, it might work for most people, but what it stops you from doing is being able to like correctly evaluate someone and like really figure out what's going on.
yeah. Helping everybody helps nobody. And if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yep.
So in that case, that's when the chiropractors are the 5-minute appointments, and no matter what you come in with, it's the same 4 adjustments. That's where those people get into sticky situations because they have set up their practice in a way where they only have 5 minutes with somebody, and that is a thing that the shotgun approach has the best in their mind, has the best chance of getting them some sort of relief if it's temporary. And going through all that, people are like, "Oh, this is my best option," and they tell me I have to come back 3 times a week for 6 months. If that's what someone thinks is their best option, it's that or surgery, then they have to make a decision with that context. If they don't know anything else is out there. That's the hardest part is knowing like, when you talk to one person, they're gonna give you their opinion. Very rarely are they gonna give you options outside of that, right?
Yeah.
So if a surgeons from what I've heard recently, surgeons are pretty good about or getting better at, "Hey, you're not a surgical candidate yet, you should try conservative options."
Yeah.
But they kinda stop there.
Well, yeah, I'll be honest too. So like,
That's the
and so
step in the right direction.
it kind of changes because a lot of the surgeons work in the hospital system that had their own physical therapy clinic. So it's like to the whole network, it doesn't matter because they're still just going to be within the system.
Mhm.
So like that, I think that's probably how it's been preached a little bit more. And maybe they're like, well, eventually they'll still become a surgical candidate, and then we get
Yeah.
PT plus surgery plus another round of PT.
Yeah, that might be a money thing, put your tinfoil hat on
Yep.
and, do all that, but the at the end of the day, it at the end of the day, your healthcare provider needs to stay in their lane. They need to give you their expert opinion and shut up about the rest.
Yeah. Completely agree. Yeah, it's funny you talk about even for me, like with baseball, I would see so many baseball athletes at once. Like I would get stuck into the like, all right, I'm just gonna hit all the potential things that are typically wrong with the baseball athlete, as opposed to like going nitty gritty. Like, well, does this guy actually need the shoulder range motion? Does this guy actually need the neck mobility, or did he just need rotator cuffs? Like right, it does become like when you start becoming a generalist, you're just not you're taking a shotgun to everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this analogy before too, where if you God forbid you need heart surgery, do you want the guy who's done 10,000 and who's a heart surgeon and a specialist,
Hmm.
or do you want the general surgeon who normally does knees?
Yeah, depends on the problem. Now, I will say, like,
If you have a heart problem, I'm
yeah,
saying.
if you don't have any, so it's where it's like if you don't have any problems and you're trying to get general healthy or like it's not as big of a deal, whatever you're dealing with, like, yeah, go to the generalist. It'll probably be fine. Like, if you want to start that way, but like when you start getting nitty gritty and like you're not getting back from something and you do something specific like running or rock climbing or stuff like that, then you got to go find that
Uh-huh.
person.
You definitely should go. Your approach should be general to narrow. So I am in the narrow position because most of the clients that I've worked with have tried the general stuff and it hasn't worked. So they continue to filter until they find a specific solution, and that's me.
Yep.
So in that case, all of those other people have tried the general back pain solutions and like none of that works. And they're like, okay, I'm wasting a bunch of time, money, effort, and energy doing this. Would they have saved a bunch of time and have saved a bunch of money long term if they just found me first? Yes. But to your point, if the back massage and a little stretching and a handful of Advil need to go away for like 2 years, it's not gonna solve the problem, but a lot of people are gonna be like, "Ah, yeah, I'm willing to take that."
Mhm.
And, that's okay. Like, I'm not here to tell you, like, what solution you should have, but I'm here to tell you that if your goal is to climb a mountain, don't go up there without any ropes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is you have to have the appropriate solution to the problem.
Yep. Sweet. That was good. Good little rebound at the end there.
Analogies.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. I think that's good. I think we're good.
It's great. That is, yeah. Um, go fix yourself.
Yeah, we'll work on that.